Hey y'all, so let's learn how to do the crocheted puff stitch. Hey, so the puff stitch is I would say it's a pretty simple stitch. You just need to do multiple loops into the same stitch, and I'll show you how to do that. I used a 9mm crochet hook and a bulky yarn. So go ahead and make yourself a slip knot and then place that on your crochet hook. And now what you're going to do is you're going to make a chain that's even numbers. So I did a chain of 16 plus 4 for a total of 20 for this tutorial. But if you were going to make a blanket, if you're going to make a scarf or whatever you're going to make, just make sure that you do your foundation chain in a even number. Okay, once you've created your chain, it should look something kind of like this. Now you're going to count over 4 stitches from the hook, and into that 4th stitch is where we're going to start our puff stitch. Yarn over just like you're going to do a double crochet stitch and insert your crochet hook into that stitch. Okay, and you're going to pull up a loop, and now you'll have 3 on your hook. Okay, and then to yarn over again, and into that same stitch, you're going to do another you're going to put the yarn hook back in again. You'll have 5 loops on your crochet hook. You're going to yarn over and do that again. So we're going to do this a total of 4 times, guys. So now you have 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we're going to do it one more time so that we have a total of 9 loops on our crochet hook. Okay, and pull up. Excuse me. All right, so you should have 9 loops. I'm trying to show you there. Again, I used the bulky yarn. You don't have to use this type of yarn. Matter of fact, if I wasn't doing the tutorial and say I was just working this as a project, I would probably only do 7 loops on the hook just so that it won't be so puffy. So just pull it through, and this is why it's important to make sure you use really good loose stitches when you're making your foundation chain, so that way it pulls through quite easily. So there is your very first puff. Looks kind of cool. So you're going to then skip the next stitch, and you're going to go into the next one, and then you're going to do the same thing. So you yarn over, you're going to insert your crochet hook into that stitch. I'm trying to show you here what it looks like. And this is called pulling through, pulling up a loop. Now make sure you give it a little tug so it's loose. You're going to do it again. That's 2. Again. That's 3. And then one more time for 4. Okay, so now you should have 9 loops on your crochet hook. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Good. You're going to yarn over and then pull through all 9 loops that are on your hook. Okay, you're going to just want to pull that hook back through all those loops and just give it a little tug. It might be a little tight if you use tight stitches, so that's why it's real important to use loose stitches. And then you'll go ahead and yarn over, pull through, then that secures your puff. Okay, so we're going to continue working down the row. You're going to skip your next stitch. You're going to yarn over and then insert your crochet hook, and we're going to do it all over again, creating our next puff. Okay, make sure you go ahead and pull up real good though. That way you don't have really tight stitches and you're able to work back through really easily. This is not a hard pattern at all. I don't particularly like this one, but I think it would be cool for like a border of a blanket, or maybe even a hat. A puff stitch hat might be pretty neat. Maybe even like a scarf or a cowl. Those might be cool for this. I like the bean stitch. I did a tutorial on a bean stitch. I think I like that one even better. So now that you have your puff, go ahead and yarn over, pull through, and there you have that one. And this is what it's gonna look like. You see how the stitches are puffy? And I do like it with the bulky yarn. It's just you have to make sure you have loose stitches, because otherwise it's kind of hard to work the puffy yarn and the crochet hook back through itself, if that makes sense. But it makes a pretty neat pattern, and I'll show you at the end what it looks like if you use a smaller hook and a lighter weight yarn. Okay, I'll just show you again, and this is a beginner tutorial, so I stayed on camera a little bit longer so that you guys could get it. If you already have it, then you can you're good to go. If you want to see how I get to the end of the row, you can fast forward a little bit. I do show you how it looks at the end of the row, but I'm not going to do the whole foundation chain on the video. I'm just doing it a few times. And just make sure you have that yarn underneath the crochet hook, and then give it a little tug and it comes right on through. Okay, and there you have it. So now you have 4 puff stitches, so you should be doing good. And you're just going to continue down the length of your project. Now I've done the majority, and now here I am at the end. Now I have a stitch at the end, so I'm going to do a double crochet stitch. And don't mind my yarn, I have a little bit of a tail there because I tied some yarn together, but excuse me, you just do a double crochet stitch at the end. And then once you have that, you're going to chain 3 and then turn your work. So it's going to vary depending on the size of project that you're working, but this is just how you would do, okay? So then yarn over again, and then in that very first stitch, I do another puff stitch. And that's how I do it, so that I keep my ends even. Some people might have you skip that one and go to the next one, and that's fine too. You'll just end up with one at the very, very end. Okay, so you have the 9 loops, and then you're going to pull through. Okay. Very good. Now you're going to skip the puff itself and then go into the next stitch. Oops, I'm sorry, I started to do a double crochet stitch. You want to do a puff stitch. So yarn over, insert into that very next space. You'll skip the puff itself and then go into the next stitch. Okay. And just keep going till you have 9 loops on your crochet hook. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Yarn over and then pull through all 9 loops. And then create yourself a chain, and then that is that. Alrighty. So, I mean, it works up really quickly, honestly. I would say if you're making a larger project, like say you want to do a blanket, you're probably going to need quite a bit of yarn, just because, especially if you use a bulky yarn, because you do a lot of repetition stitches in the same hole. So it's not going to, you know, you're going to need probably a lot of yarn. Okay, we're at the end of that second row. And so I skip that puff, and then I go right into the chain, and I'm going to do a double crochet stitch here at the end. And just complete a double crochet stitch at the end, okay? And then you're going to yarn over, you're going to chain 3 and turn your work, and then you start all over again. See how it's kind of even there? And you should have the same number of puffs in every row. So that's how you can kind of tell to make sure that you're doing it right, or you have the right, you know, the right pattern forming. For me, I had the same number of puffs in every single row. And I think it's important that I wanted to show you guys the beginning and the ends of the row, because that to me is where it can get a little bit confusing when you're crocheting. So anyway, this is pretty much it. That's how you do your puff stitch. You continue to work your project how you see fit. Okay, and this is the same puff stitch using a wool yarn, a smaller yarn, and a smaller crochet hook. I use a 6mm, so that's what it looks like there. I tend to like it a little bit better with the bulkier yarn. It makes the puffs a little bit more puffy. But anyway, that's it. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comment section down below, and I will see you all in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.